God, I've been having a hard time explaining to people what gaslighting means. Could you give me an example that I can share with the world? Yes, my son. Here you go. This is what gaslighting looks like. Congress, power to bar Trump, a constitutional debate. This one as well. This is actually the article that drummed up all of this talk today. The Hill advocating for Congress to step in and leverage the 14th Amendment to keep Donald Trump from taking the presidency, taking the seat as president. And, when they use things like insurrection or protecting democracy, and all the while using an incident that in no way fits the definition of insurrection, and then using a law that was meant to be applied absolutely not even remotely in the way that they're looking to apply it, them standing on the moral high ground somehow in their minds and saying, we're going to do this incredibly devious, underhanded thing that breaks all norms, even though you guys won the popular vote as well as the election itself. We're seriously advocating to block your guy from taking office, and we're doing it to protect democracy because our person who was never elected to be the candidate, never got a single vote before getting trounced in the general election. We don't see any hypocrisy here for some reason. It's like the self-awareness is wait until you hear how they plan to actually do this, block Trump coming in. More devious than you would imagine. And I imagine that you imagine it's pretty devious. And then in an identical situation, pretty close to identical, former FBI and CIA heads are going to the Senate, and they are advocating that the Senate not confirm Kash Patel and Tulsi Gabbard. I wonder why. Especially Kash Patel. I asked myself, why would these guys be so concerned about these particular appointments? Is it possible that they have always relied upon the discretion of the person who runs the FBI to make sure that they do not get indicted and sent to jail for things? I mean, maybe, right? Now, in this particular case, I don't have quite as much expertise as in the other, so I will be cautious in how I talk about it because I don't want to say stupid things, which are knowingly stupid because I don't know how the world actually works. I'm smart enough to know that I don't know how the world actually works and that there are mechanisms in all these different societies that I am not privy to. And it is possible that there are intelligence apparatuses that are critical to the security of the United States that they believe someone inexperienced coming in that did not come up through the intelligence agencies does not have, but I trust Tulsi Gabbard. So I am not in any way saying that I would support these guys not getting confirmed. I am just going to point out, though, again, that this is just more of the same. 14th Amendment drum. Don't let the two key appointments that he makes. No. Because they're not deep state like us, so it can't happen. Anyway, so those are the stories that we're going to talk about. And I want to tell you guys about the sponsor of this video real quick because it applies right here. Now, in the middle of a moment where we're still fighting to just be able to elect the people we want to elect and believe in the things that we want to believe, I wanted to tell you about one of my favorite sponsors that has been with me forever and is run by a patriot and a military veteran, and that's Sheath. Okay, Sheath underwear is the bomb. Bottom line, okay? Now, every month, we do a giveaway where we give away a pair of shoes. I was doing Jordans forever. You want to know what I did last month? Bam! And the first winner of the Trump sneakers actually got them on Christmas. They said they were going to be delivered on January 8th, and they came on Christmas. Merry Christmas to the winner. I don't know if he wants me to put his name out, but he definitely won, and he got them yesterday. So we're doing it again. Literally, if you go on to sheathunderwear.com and you shop for anything, it does not matter. You can buy girl stuff. You can buy men's stuff. You can do anything that you want. You buy any item, and for each item that you purchase, when you use promo code FI, actually, you know what? I take that back. We're using this code, BD24, because it's 35% off during the Boxing Day sale. You send me a receipt, realjesseonfire @gmail.com, and you will get entered to win one entry per item that you buy. Next month's pair of DT shoes. So get after it. All right, let's start with the 14th Amendment, and then we'll go over to the CIA and them trying to block Tulsi and Kash Patel. So Congress has the power to block Trump from taking office, but lawmakers must act now, by Evan Davis and David M. Schulte. We'll look into who these guys are after this. The Constitution provides that an oath-breaking insurrectionist is ineligible to be president. This is the plain wording of Section 3 of the 14th Amendment to the Constitution. Quote, no person shall hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or under any state who has previously taken an oath to support the Constitution of the United States shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. This disability can be removed by a 2/3 vote in each house. You know what else got removed by a 2/3 vote? My feelings when I saw 2/3 of you did not subscribe to my channel after watching the last couple videos. That hurts. That hurts my heart. So if you would rather my heart not be hurt, you could subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet, and you could like this video. Now, obviously, these guys and every other leftist believes that Donald Trump was obviously an insurrectionist. Here's the problem, though, and how we can disprove that right now, okay? So here's what it says about whether or not insurrection is a crime. It's a federal crime, right? So any act of rebellion or insurrection against the U.S. government constitutes a serious federal crime punishable by serious jail time and fines. This crime is embodied under Title 18 U.S. Code 2383. So let me just get this straight, okay? So the Democratic establishment somehow figured out a way to charge Trump with 37 felonies in a case where he listened to his attorney about how he was going to pay a $100,000 invoice for which it was a story that was going to break about him having a one-night affair with a porn star, and they paid her $100,000 to not go public with the story. Completely not illegal at all, by the way. But they characterized that, or I'm sorry, classified that as an expense with their campaign, which was recommended by the lawyer, and Trump just paid the $100,000 bill. Okay, $100,000, not a lot of money to Donald Trump. Okay, this is his lawyer telling him that this is the way to do it, and somehow they turned that clerical error into a 37-count indictment, which he was convicted on all of them. You know, so that, right? Somehow they were able to figure out a way to charge him with that. The Georgia, all these different things that they were doing. You know, you had Jack Smith doing it. Somehow they were never able to charge him with insurrection because, you know, seems like they would have if there was a lick of evidence that he was an insurrectionist. Okay? Now, I would imagine they probably wouldn't want to go through any real discovery where you get to talk about who these instigators were. The ones who really instigated. It's like, so who's that guy? What's his connection to the federal government? Or is he going to be allowed to tell the truth when you put him on the stand and ask him if he's ever been paid by the FBI as an informant or as an employee? Probably not, you know, but that's neither here nor there. Bottom line is Trump has never been convicted of insurrection. So what are you talking about? Okay. What are you talking about? How is he an insurrectionist? He's never been convicted of that. Right. So, and obviously it defies all, you know, common sense logic. So disqualification is based on insurrection against the Constitution and not the government. And evidence that Donald Trump's engaging in such insurrection is overwhelming. The matter has been decided in 3 separate forums, 2 of which were fully contested with the active participation of Trump's counsel. Really? The first fully contested proceeding was Trump's second impeachment trial. Oh, right. That very, very legit trial that they ran. On January 13th, 2021, then President Trump was impeached for incitement of insurrection. Wait a minute. Oh, right. I guess that was technically before he was out of office. And when they were trying to make sure he couldn't run again. How'd that work out for you guys? At the trial in the Senate, 7 Republicans joined all Democrats to provide a majority of conviction, but failed to reach the 2/3 vote required for removal from office. Inciting insurrection encompasses engaging in insurrection against the Constitution or giving aid and comfort to the enemies thereof, the grounds for disqualification specified in Section 3. What's really hilarious about all of this, when you really think about it, is so let's say some of those, you know, people really were Trump supporters, which they obviously were. I mean, there is violence on that day. Nothing good about that. People attack cops. You should go to jail for a little while, depending on the situation. But why again were the supporters so angry? I feel like I remember something about mail-in voting and the firm belief that there was malfeasance going on and that the democratic process had been undermined and overridden by people who figured out a way to cheat, And then we got gaslit again for another 4 years. Anybody who says that there's a question with the election is a crazy kook conspiracy theorist. And then the 2024 election happened, and it was like, wait a minute. So is everyone just going to breeze over the fact that 15 million more people voted on the Democrat side than they had ever in the last 5 elections or in this one? There's just this rando $15 million jump anomaly in the 2020 election for Joe Biden, and everybody's just going to run with that, huh? Like nothing to do with mail-in voting or reports of, truckloads of ballots. Like we're just going to ignore all of that, right? So the people who were, I would say correctly suspicious went and, they protested whatever and they got mad. So at the end of the day, we were in the middle of an insurrection and a usurping of the democratic process. If in fact there was voter fraud, which I imagine we're going to find out here in the first year. This guy, you want to know why Trump is what he is because he does not lose. If you're going to beat him, you have to bury him. Okay. And on the, on the 2020 election, if you think that fight's over, you are out of your mind. He is going to get elected, and that's going to be priority immediate. Okay. You guys wonder why Kari Lake has not made any noise about her losing the race that she lost, when the numbers make no sense whatsoever. Trump wins the presidential election by 1.5 million votes, and somehow it was 150,000. I can't remember. Wait, let me see that. Let me see. I don't want to get this wrong. Trump, Arizona final vote count. Okay, so Arizona was 1.77 million to 1.58. So almost 200,000 votes. Now watch this, okay? Kari Lake, Arizona final count. So Gallego wins, and somehow Kari Lake gets 1.59 million, and Ruben Gallego gets 1.676. So he gets 100,000 less than Trump, but gets 100,000 more than Biden did, and somehow Kari Lake gets almost 200,000 less. So 200,000 is not statistically insignificant. That's enormous. That is over 10%. That's over 10%. Okay. 10% would be 177,000 voters from the Trump side. Okay. Well, you got more than that who supposedly voted for Trump and didn't vote for Kari Lake. Okay. And then you have a guy in the Arizona State House who specifically said that he was going into office with the goal of making Kari Lake's life hell. And what was he in charge of again? Counting the votes? Right. So here's the thing. In case you guys missed it, right when they called this race right here, Kari Lake against Gallego, Trump tweeted a hashtag out on Truth Social. Now, let's do this. Watch this real quick. What does a hashtag indicate in chess? Checkmate. Hashtag means checkmate. So as soon as they called it for Gallego, he tweeted out checkmate. So, and Kari Lake never complained about anything. Kari Lake has a lot to say. She said nothing about 13% of the voters supposedly voting for Trump and then not voting for her, because that lines up. Not at all. It's the most obvious. Well, I guess you're not allowed to say that it is voter fraud. But if I was going to say, what's the most obvious place that you should be incredibly suspicious, it would be that election right there in Arizona, this last one in 2024. Honestly, who votes for Trump and doesn't vote for Kari Lake? And then explain to me why. Kari Lake literally exposed the head of the Arizona GOP for trying to bribe her out of running, specifically so she would not be there during the Trump one. And she recorded the conversation and outed him, and he ended up having to resign. And she said, I'm with Trump. You're telling me that there were Trump voters that didn't vote for her? 177,000 of them, or 200,000 of them? Okay. Well, I guess we'll see how that plays out. We'll see how that plays out. Anyway, but getting back to this particular story, the second contested proceeding was the Colorado 5-day, the Colorado one, where they were trying to take him off the ballot. Wow. The Colorado 5-day judicial due process hearing where the court found by clear and convincing evidence that President Trump engaged in insurrection as those terms are used in Section 3. Let me show you how insane these people actually are. Okay. Colorado Trump final vote count. Okay. Colorado. Okay. Kamala Harris wins, but Trump got almost 1.4 million votes. Okay. So out of 3.1 million voters in Colorado, 3.1 million voters, 1.4 million wanted to vote for Donald Trump. And the government of Colorado tried to take him off the ballot. And this is the party that tells you that their big concern is protecting democracy. They are frauds, dude. I mean, I'm not educating any of you guys with this, but they are frauds. They're a joke. And they really think that they have the moral high ground here. It's unbelievable. It is unbelievable. Protecting democracy while taking off a guy who literally got 43% of the popular vote in your state. And you weren't even going to let him run because you care about democracy. I don't even, you can't hate them enough. You know what I mean? It's just... The Colorado Supreme Court affirmed. On further appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court, the court held that states lack power to disqualify candidates for federal office and that federal legislation was required to enforce Section 3. The court did not address the findings that Trump had engaged in insurrection. Finally, there is a bipartisan inquiry of the House Select Committee to investigate January 6th attack. Oh, yeah, that was super legit. Somehow, they just failed to find any of those videos that had the Capitol Police or the guards leading these guys around, photo ops in the Capitol. But then when Tucker Carlson ran those, the dudes got the QAnon shaman got released from prison like 5 seconds later because they were like, we can't have this getting any more airtime. It's like, and it's so crazy when stuff like that happens because to me, I'm like, well, yeah, obviously they did it. But they act so quickly like, oh my God, we're caught. And you're like, you're caught. You've been caught, dude. Another example of that was when the person came out with the affidavit saying that Kamala Harris and ABC had fully collaborated to rig the debate in every way. He laid it all out and he sent it off before the debate happened. So it had been mail certified to have gone out before the debate happened about how Trump was going to get fact checked and she would not, and all of those things that they did to set him up. And that I think they did it. I think they did one really smart thing, but it's not here nor there. Okay. It was a setup. And then the day after that story breaks, or maybe even later that day, you have that weirdo who goes to the golf course and supposedly was about to shoot Trump before a Secret Service person took 6 shots at the guy and missed him from what turned out to be, I believe, 10 feet. That makes sense. It makes perfect sense if you want to divert all attention away from this affidavit that they rigged the debate. And the reason that probably sounds a little bit far-fetched to you guys is because all of you guys knew the debate was rigged anyway. So it's like, why would they go through all that to cover up a thing that is so obvious? It's like, and then everybody knows about it. It's like, they think they don't know about it because half the country is still blind and actually didn't know that the debate was rigged. So they go run cover with some, you know what I mean? Anyway, so finally, bipartisan, the January 6th, more than half the witnesses whose testimony was displayed at its 9 public hearings were Republicans. Oh yeah, because that matters. including members of the Trump administration that have gotten proven to have been flipped by Liz Cheney and making up stories. I'm sorry, did I say that out loud? By the way, that was a joke, but maybe not. The inescapable conclusion of this evidence is that Trump engaged in insurrection against the Constitution. In particular, Trump unlawfully demanded that his vice president, Mike Pence, throw out votes in the Electoral College for political opponent Joe Biden, a power he did not have. While the riot was in progress, Trump used Pence's rejection of the demand to further inflame the crowd and cause them to chant, "Hang up Pence." Oh, really? I feel like what I saw from him was, you guys need to go home. You need to be peaceful. I think he said you need to be peaceful like 100 times. But it's fine. Why tell the truth in your super honest and, fair, legit article about how you should block the duly elected president who the majority of the voters want to be president because you think you have some loophole? Some will argue that the Supreme Court decision in the Colorado case, Trump versus Anderson, precludes Congress from rejecting electoral votes when they convene on January 6th on the basis of the 14th Amendment disqualification. This view lacks merit for three reasons. First, the majority's decision suggesting that there must be new implementing federal legislation passed pursuant to the enforcement powers, 14th Amendment, yada, 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 yada. Okay. Bottom line is this, dude. These guys are serious. Okay. I mean, they're serious. And just to let's just read their final thoughts before we move over to the other article. To make an objection under the Count Act requires a petition signed by 20% of the members of each house. If the objection is to sustain, majority vote, yada, yada. If all votes for Trump were not counted, Kamala Harris would be elected president. So that, I'm sorry, that actually is not the end of the article, but that's what they're advocating for. That Kamala Harris, who didn't get a single vote in the primary, who ran a garbage campaign, who was never leading in the polls, who lost every single thing that you possibly could in this election. They want to protect democracy by just appointing her the presidency because these are the good guys, guys. They're the good guys. Just ask them. The unlikelihood of the congressional Republicans doing anything that might elect Harris as president is obvious, but Democrats need to take a stand against electoral college votes for a person disqualified by the Constitution from holding office unless and until this disability is removed. No less is required by their oath to support the Constitution. You know what's hilarious about that is I bet you they wrote this article before the election and it was all queued up. They're like, so if he does win, we'll run this article. And then he won the popular vote and just, oh, what's that you're choking on? That's Donald Trump. And it's all the way in your stomach, down your throat, in your tummy. Do you like it? How's that taste? Bad. Now, in people who are, in my opinion, much more dangerous than these dimwits at the Hill, you have former FBI and CIA leaders who certainly have the ability to still fuck shit up, even though they're out of, they're not in their roles anymore. The former head of the FBI and CIA are raising objections over whether Kash Patel and Tulsi Gabbard, President-elect Trump's picks to be directors of the FBI and National Intelligence, respectively, are qualified to serve in the cabinet. In a letter to senators on Thursday, William Webster, the only person who lead both the FBI and the CIA, wrote that neither nominee meets demands of top intelligence jobs. Honestly, the idea that Tulsi Gabbard would not be a good head of intelligence is insanity. Now, I'm not going to pretend that I don't know why they don't want Kash Patel. I know why they don't want Kash Patel in there. And again, I don't know enough about how all of this fits together to have a super strong opinion about any of this, other than to say the reason we voted for Trump is to get rid of the deep state. So the deep state coming out and being all, don't let him in, is pretty laughable. Because you want to know what's going to happen if, for people who stand against these picks, they're gone. Their career's over. That's what's going to happen. Bottom line. They will not win another election. They know it. I know it. You guys know it. Okay, so Webster, who is 100 years old, praised Patel's patriotism, but wrote that his allegiance to Trump was concerning. His record of executing the president's directives suggests a loyalty to individuals rather than the rule of law, a dangerous precedent for an agency tasked with impartial enforcement. Impartial enforcement of justice is a real sentence that they just wrote after everything that has happened with Donald Trump over the last however many years. That's funny. When it came to Gabbard, Webster wrote of her profound lack of intelligence experience stood in contrast to the seasoned leadership needed for the role. Yeah, I'm sure that she wouldn't have anyone working under her that has the experience to get her up to speed over the first 90 days, you know? Effective management of our intelligence community requires unparalleled expertise to navigate the complexities of global threats and to maintain the trust of allied nations. Without that trust, our ability to safeguard sensitive secrets and collaborate internationally is severely diminished. That's also, I love Tulsi enough that I am defending this either way, but that's the one where I don't know. And neither do any of you guys. I have no idea. I just don't know. I really don't. That's the whole point of the CIA. You don't really know. I know they do some bad stuff, you know, but I would imagine they do a lot of stuff that is critical to our safety. Trump's transition did not immediately respond to requests for comment, yada, yada, yada. So, he was the FBI and CIA under Jimmy Carter. Oh, but he remained director under Ronald Reagan until 87. And then Reagan tapped him to be the head of the CIA in 91. Oh, so this guy is actually a badass. Well, that's unfortunate because this guy, there's no way this dude's 104. He's not 100 years old. If that guy's 100 years old, they should make him the FBI and CIA director, and just because he's a vampire. You know what I mean? Anyway, that's what I got. I love you guys. Thank you for hanging out. Bye-bye.